Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has pledged to work with international leaders on a peace plan for Gaza, saying Hamas should have no role in the future governance of the enclave. His address to the United Nations General Assembly comes just days after several more countries formally recognised the state of Palestine. Meanwhile, Israeli forces are advancing deeper into Gaza City, with local hospitals reporting the deaths of 19 people across the territory.
The dawn of freedom will emerge. That was the message from Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas as he addressed the United Nations this afternoon. It was a speech delivered via video link after the Trump administration revoked his visa.
What Israel is carrying out is not merely an aggression. It is a war crime and a crime against humanity that is both documented and monitored.
Despite Israel's ongoing aggression, which he said was intensifying each day, Mr Abbas pledged to work with international leaders on a peace plan without the involvement of Hamas. The aim, he said, was for Palestinians to be free.
We will not leave our homeland. We will not leave our lands. Our people will remain rooted like the olive trees, firm as the rocks. We will rise from under the rubble to rebuild.
As world leaders discuss the future of Palestine in New York, thousands of kilometres away in the Mediterranean, a mission to deliver aid to Gaza is generating significant attention. Activists on board the global Mahmoud flotilla say they were targeted by a drone attack on Tuesday night, prompting Spain to become the second European nation after Italy to announce it would send a warship to escort the flotilla. Kate Farley, RTE News.
Our global security reporter Yvonne Murray joins us now from the United Nations. Yvonne, Mahmoud Abbas wasn't there in New York, but what was the reaction there to what he had to say?
Well, at the end of that recorded message sent by video, there was sustained applause, David, here in the General Assembly Hall. And I think really reflecting the support, widespread support amongst UN member states for the Palestinians, but also perhaps a touch of moral outrage, the fact that the Palestinian delegation was refused entry to come and attend the UN General Assembly this year. But of course, in the background looms that very real threat of the possibility of Israeli annexation of the West Bank. And there's been some frenzied diplomacy going on here behind closed doors. But also on Tuesday, the Arab nations got together and they met Donald Trump, the US president, here on the sidelines. And we understand that they managed to extract an assurance out of him that he would not allow annexation to go ahead. But as we speak, Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, is on his way here to New York. He will address the UN General Assembly in the morning in person. And after that, he is going to go to Washington to have a meeting at the White House on Monday. So the question is now, will the US President Donald Trump listen to that pressure from the Arab states? They've said it's a red line, this annexation. Or will he be persuaded by what Mr Netanyahu has to say? And I think people here now are concerned that the momentum that's built here due to Palestinian recognition could be lost depending on what Mr Trump decides. And I think here the sense is that the next few days are absolutely crucial to the future of the region. OK, Yvonne Murray at the UN in New York. Thank you.
The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will address the UN General Assembly tomorrow, where he is expected to spell out Israel's response to the growing recognition of a Palestinian state. While his government has hinted it could annex the West Bank, the Prime Minister has just linked a widely condemned settlement plan to the denial of any future Palestinian state. Our Europe editor Tony Conley and cameraman Bram Verbecca report now from the illegal settlement of Mala Adumim on what is at stake.
2 weeks ago, the Israeli Prime Minister announced the massive expansion of an Israeli settlement. But this was not just any expansion. The plan poses a much graver threat to the two-state solution.
We said there wouldn't be a Palestinian state, and we say again, there won't be a Palestinian state. This place is ours. We will take care of our country, our security and our heritage.
A future Palestinian state is supposed to comprise most of the West Bank. Its capital, say Palestinians, should be East Jerusalem. However, long-standing Palestinian communities have been steadily disrupted by illegal Jewish settlements, one of the largest of which is Ma'ale Adumim. The so-called E1 project would expand that settlement westward, essentially cutting off East Jerusalem from the West Bank and, say critics, driving a wedge through the heart of a future Palestinian state. It also poses an immediate threat to Palestinian communities now in the firing line and would prevent any prospect of East Jerusalem expanding. This Bedouin farmer was warned he had 60 days to vacate his property or it would be demolished and he'd have to foot the bill.
It will kill the dream of a Palestinian state, taking a lot of land from Jerusalem, and in particular, it will separate the south from the north of the West Bank. It will destroy Bedouin life in the area.
In stark contrast to the hemmed-in and impoverished Palestinian communities, Ma'ale Adumim itself is pristine and affluent, studded with palm trees and boasting its own shopping centre. Established in the mid-70s, the settlement is now 50,000 strong and, say its residents, must have room to grow.
Yes. We must be from Ma'ale Adumim to Jerusalem will be together.
Why do you need that?
Why? This is my area.
In a way, it's a little grotesque, but eventually we live here and people are moving here. We need to expand for more people to move in. I think that it can also, in a way, lead to a solution. You can't just stand by and wait.
The project has been in the pipeline for decades, blocked by successive US administrations. A defiant Israeli government now wants to press ahead. The project would run all the way from East Jerusalem to Ma'ale Adumim, 12 square kilometres of Palestinian hills, valleys, pasture land and homes, all to be confiscated. Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed there can never be a Palestinian state. Critics say this would be one way to achieve that. This week, Palestinians caught the tantalising glimpse of a future state, but as frustration deepens, it remains an elusive dream.
And Tony joins us now this evening from Tel Aviv. Tony, just how distant is the chance of a Palestinian state under this current Israeli government?
It does seem distant, Sharon, but of course Benjamin Netanyahu has changed his spots before. In 2009 here in Tel Aviv at a university, he gave a passionate speech talking about two free peoples living side by side in mutual respect and mutual security. 15 years on, that position has obviously evaporated. In the meantime, he massively expanded settlements in the West Bank. He was actually tacitly supporting Hamas in Gaza, allowing huge volumes of millions of dollars to flow from Qatar to the Hamas administration in Gaza, because that was undermining the Palestinian Authority. And then he could tell the Americans, I have no partner for peace. Now, even a month after October 7th, the international community was saying that there was a renewed urgency for a two-state solution. The problem is, in the meantime, the Israeli public and Benjamin Netanyahu is uniquely attuned to their views, has become a lot more risk averse. There was a Pew Research Centre study in the spring which said only 21% of Israelis could trust a Palestinian state. When you talk about Jewish Israelis, that had fallen to 16%, the lowest figure in decades. Now, he may not go ahead with that annexation of the West Bank. He does have constraints from the Gulf Arab states and the Trump administration, but he may not need to. The incremental attacks by settlers on communities across the West Bank and that E1 construction project could do that disruption for him, and he could just let the chips fall where they may. We'll hear more about that in his speech tomorrow.
Europe editor Tony Conley from Tel Aviv in Israel. Thank you.